Hi there, welcome to another episode of the Uncrowned Diaries. Today I wanted to talk to you about something really important called social media and followings. Now, this year, actually just this year, was the first time I believe that they included a new fast track, and it's called the social media fast track. So what we're expected to do is we're supposed to post about our sponsors. We're supposed to thank them, do a lot of creative posts, especially during pageant week. Now, very difficult for a lot of people entering pageants who feel overwhelmed, especially when they see other delegates with huge followings. They're like, oh, how am I going to compete with that? This person's an influencer. This person has a huge community backing them. They're so well known. When I post on Facebook or Instagram, I get a couple of likes. When they post, they've got like 1 million people who are liking and commenting in their posts. I'm not going to be able to compete with that. And I want to let you know that that's not necessarily true. Now, I'm someone who has a couple of different Instagram accounts. I have a professional one, I have a personal one where I share more of my life with my family and what we do when we travel. And I have a third one where I specifically talk more about post-surgery and healing, both from the outside in and the inside out, things like that. And so each of these followings are very different from each other because they were started at different times. So the largest account has somewhere like 80, somewhere around there, 1,000 people. And the other one has about 46 or 47,000 people. And the last one only has a couple of hundred. The one that has a couple of hundred followers on it is my most influential Instagram page. And what I mean by that is there's more eyes on that page and there's more people listening and watching and using that information and interacting with that information more so than the other two. So even though the followings are high, and I do use them for different things, they're more like launch pads or awareness rather than actual interaction. And that makes a big difference. So just because you have a large or a small social media following, that in itself does not determine what's going on. There's a whole host of different things. Are people commenting, but are their comments like, oh my God, amazing, wonderful, fire, praise signs, high fives, but are they actually doing the things that you're asking them to do? Or are they supporting you in the ways you need the support? Are they downloading apps and voting for you? Are they reaching out to their friends and, looking for potential sponsors? So don't worry about the numbers. Worry more about the people who are supporting you. Are they there to help you in the ways you need and want to be helped? And I think that's more indicative of your support system than anything else. Now, you may say, well, no, I don't actually have a support system, nor do I have a great Instagram following. I got none of that. In fact, some people don't even have their families know that they're participating. They do it all by themselves. And what I will say to that is you're missing part of the equation here. You need to find a way to engage with your audience. Now, they may not be your family and friends. Well, then go out and find businesses, go and find like-minded forums, find a space where you can be yourself and you can create that support system. This is not a one-man show. And if it is a one-man or woman show, if it's a one-woman show, at some point, even if you might be successful in the beginning, that's going to wear thin. When you're not at your strongest, you need people around you who are going to rally. So even if you're capable of doing it on your own, you shouldn't be doing it on your own. You should be working on the things that you're good at and that are your strengths, and you should be reaching out and collaborating and building, because that's what, after you win the crown, that's pretty much what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to have to connect with other people, collaborate with them, get very comfortable with asking for the things you need while exchanging and giving value in return. So back to the original, social media, following sizes, even engagement, but empty engagement is not indicative of success. So if you see girls out there with huge followings, getting lots of coverage, that doesn't necessarily translate into, oh my God, they're going to win. There's lots of times where people have really fantastic followings online. A lot of these pageant pages will speculate who's going to be the winners. And, you know, girls get really tied down with this, and they get really down on themselves saying, oh my God, this is a fan favorite. She's going to win. No one even thought, you know, I'm a contender. And then out of the woodwork, some girls just, you know, surprise you and hit the finish line with flying colors, while they were not doing that great on their social media, or they weren't getting as much coverage as some of the others. So don't worry about what people are saying online. Don't worry too much about people with bigger followings. Make sure that the people who are supporting you and are following you, they're doing it in ways that are effective and efficient and help you in the ways that you need to be helped. Okay, so to me, I would say that's where your value and strength in your network lies. And for some people, by the way, the networks lie outside of social media. So they might not be very active on social media. In fact, one of the keynotes I have, I spoke to her. She's a very gracious woman. MUC, Miss Universe Canada, does different keynote speeches with the girls every week leading up to the pageant. And this particular keynote that I spoke with, she doesn't have Instagram accounts. She's not that active on social media at all. Yet she creates huge impact in her community. She's the ambassador for luxury brands. She does a lot of collaborations in real life, and she networks, and she knows powerful individuals because she shows up authentically. She meets them in person, and that's where her strength and her connection lie, not on social media. So everyone has their strengths, everyone has their weaknesses, and I don't want anyone getting too bogged down by what they're reading online, who else has way more engagement than they do. And I know it's easier said than done. And when that happens, come back to this video, watch this, and watch other videos like it to remind yourself that that is just a little piece of the puzzle. Yes, like all the others, you should work on developing it, but if yours is not as big as someone else's, that's okay. Work and nurture the network you have until you grow it to the size that you want, but make sure it's a fruitful network. Make sure it's one that truly supports you and isn't just there for, you know, the hurrahs and the applause online, but then not translating into something that's meaningful and really impacts your life and the things you're trying to do. Okay, so I hope that helps.